Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our amazing partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. And I am beyond thrilled for a Wednesday to be a Matter Day again. Matt Swanson here with Matt Hamilton and Maddie Lane. What a special day. Maddie Lane, how are we feeling?
Oh, listen. The Chiefs lost one of the most upsetting football games that I have ever witnessed as a Chiefs fan. It really was that upsetting, and the more times I go back and watch it, it's just as bad. So, not the best of week for Chiefs fans. That's okay. We're like half turning the page right now. We got to talk to Hamilton over here about what happened, but all in all, it's been an okay week after Monday. So it's been a good one day since the Chiefs lost to the Jags. Hamilton, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah, it feels like old times being back here on a Wednesday. But yeah,
The original
it's
Matter Day.
yeah. I wish it was under better circumstances, but yeah,
Don't we
excited to
all?
be back with you guys. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it, man. This last day, like yesterday was it feels like that game was a week ago.
it really does.
It feels like that game was so long ago. And really it's been like less than 48 hours since the Chiefs lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can tell you I'm a lot calmer now than I was on the KCSM postgame show. It was I don't know where I stand emotionally with that, with all like I don't know if it's an acceptance phase, if it's just like a wait and see phase for all this and just this team, because like I know we're gonna get into Hammy thoughts. I think the Chiefs have just broken people's brains so hard where you're always expecting them to just figure it out, solve the problem, and go to the Super Bowl, right? Like that's the life that Chiefs fans know. They haven't not been to a Super Bowl in 4 seasons. And it's just, and we've seen them do it in such bizarre ways. We've seen them not be particularly good for most of the regular season and go out and win. So it's like you can even point back to Super Bowl winning seasons with this team where they haven't looked good, they've underperformed, they're under 500, and we can even point to them seasons in which they won the Super Bowl. So my brain's just it's a little bit broken, with all of this going on. But Hamilton, I would love to kind of just get your thoughts. Game, everything, this football team, existential, everything. Let's hear you cook.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I do feel like, again, I'm not in any way excusing the loss. There was a lot of stuff that happened that can happen if you want to win football games. It was a poor performance. It was a sloppy performance, and you don't want to see that. But I do feel like there is a little bit of that where the lack of regular season adversity has kind of messed with Chiefs fans' brains a little bit. And I'm not saying that in a disparaging way. I think it's it's almost a decade now where you're just used to going to the Super Bowl pretty much every year, and like the regular seasons have been pretty easy. And when I take a step back and look at this game, and to your point, when you really look at it, so I ran through this a little bit on Up and Adams, but I want to present this here to you guys because dug into the numbers. So most penalties they've had in a game, tied for the most since 2018, the Jared Goff Monday Nighter, that crazy shootout game against the Rams.
Wow.
This was the first time they've outgained an opponent and lost by 150 plus yards and lost since the 2019 Titans game, that weird game, which again, to your point, they go on to win the Super Bowl that year. It's the first time they've gone 2-3 in a 5-game span since 2023, and we know what happened that year. So there's a lot of stuff when you look back, like, again, having this all happen in the same game is what makes it feel so bad. But these are things that have popped up at various points randomly here and there. And they've been fine, and they've won Super Bowls. But yeah, I think this is a performance that I look at, and it's a horrible game to lose because they had no business losing it in a lot of ways. And I think that's the thing that's tough to get over. But in the big picture, grand scheme of it all, Chiefs, like, the offense looks really explosive again. Like, there are a lot of positive signs that this team is taking steps in the right directions. It's just a game that you can't lose. And I think you need to separate the big picture from the horror of that loss. And yes, there are things that need to be addressed, like the Chris Jones thing, and his response to it in the press conference is just absolutely asinine. And like, that's something that needs to be addressed. Like, there are issues that still need to be addressed here. I'm not trying to, sugarcoat this by any means, but when I look at like the underlying stuff with this team, like, there are a lot of good things. There are a lot of positive signs. The thing I can't figure out is like what Mahomes was looking at on that interception. I don't know.
Well,
I genuinely don't know what he was trying to do there. It seemed
I have
pretty
a theory
clear.
on
Like,
that, actually.
okay, I want to hear it.
So they've run that play, I believe, in every single game, or a version of that exact same play, the slant with the little follow off the angle route, in every single game, except the Chargers game, I believe, because they never got close enough. So they've run it every single week, and I think the Jags do that. They showed the blitz, and the way Mahomes plays it, I think he's fully planning on throwing the follow to Kelsey, like they do almost every single time.
Yeah,
I think he just assumes that the Jags blew the coverage on the blitz and left Juju wide open, and that's why he tries to throw a late slant across his body without actually getting any zip on it. Not that the pull is going to be complete no matter what, because like as soon as you take the 2 steps, you're not beating Devin Lloyd dropping underneath it. But just the way he went about it, I think he saw the slant flash late. He thought maybe they blew the coverage and threw it, which just means he got. Like, I'm not saying he didn't get beat, but watching them, like, he would never throw that slant on 2 steps. Like, that's a 1 step or no step to rip the slant. So I think he just saw it late and he tried to flip it out there. So at least that's my theory. I don't know, obviously.
No, that makes sense. There's some logic to that, because it's a tough one. That was a tough one for me because he totally misread the situation, and it's clear what the play design is. What they want to do is, you said, they've done it a million times, and it was very surprising to see him make that mistake. And he's protected the ball so well all year, and I don't think that's gotten talked about enough. So it was shocking to see him make a mistake in that situation, and everything else, like, that was it. I mean, if they get points out of that drive, none of the other stuff happens, and we're not talking about any of it. And again, I love, we all love Patrick, but this was, that was what turned this game on its head completely.
We speak, we talk about like Mahomes being the best player on the planet all the time. He's playing like the best player on the planet, and he also was the best player on the field in that game.
Absolutely.
And it's just, it's so wild. And you boil everything down. The best player on the field for the entirety of that football game made honestly the biggest mistake you possibly can make in that game. And just in general, like, there's literally no play, barely any play that can swing a game the way that one did.
Yeah.
A goal line pick 6 where the Chiefs go.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, and that's the first red zone pick 6 he's thrown in his career. He hasn't thrown many pick 6s just in general, but that's the first one that he's thrown in the red zone.
And you can look at all the special teams failures. You can look at the defensive failures. You can look at the struggles. And all of those are masked if that play doesn't happen. If Devin Lloyd gets tackled at the 30, I think the Chiefs win the football game.
Yeah, really.
It's literally.
You think they were stopping to score a touchdown?
I think the game changes a little bit. So I don't know if they do, but I think they have a chance. So it's just, it was just, he played so good in that game too. Like, that's the funny thing. He was incredible, and then he just, goes out and makes just a really bad mistake to kind of cost them.
So I don't want to linger on that game too much, because Monday night games are weird, right? Because like it's Wednesday now, and so like you want to kind of start looking towards the next week, but we also have another game preview show coming up later on Friday this week, so we can't go full on Lions game here. I will say though about this past game, I'm ready to move on and not be mad about it, but 2 things kind of upset me about the game. I'm going to talk about them real quick. The first, and this kind of goes to one of Hamilton's points, Chiefs fans are a little spoiled and like regular season success and stuff like that. And we kind of expect to win. And I mean, for good reason. The Chiefs don't lose this type of game. And it's not that the Chiefs didn't make mistakes, but their opponent didn't play good. The Jags did not play a good football game. The Chiefs don't lose games to teams that don't play good. Like, it's been a long time since they've lined up from a team that's played a bad football game for, half or over half of the plays and lost that game. That's what happened. The Jags didn't play a good football game either. They had some good plays, but they didn't play a good football game. So, like, the Chiefs don't lose games like this hardly ever under Mahomes and Andy Reid, if ever, right? So that part's frustrating because this is the kind of game that you kind of expect the winning pedigree, the championship moments, the experience to all take over and win. And, well, a couple of your more experienced guys, Mahomes, Chris Jones, even though I don't know if he stops the play, but like some of your more experienced guys have made some mistakes. So that part's a little frustrating. But what really frustrated me, it was the first drive after half. Chiefs got the ball. It's 3rd and 2. They get man coverage ID. They have some pick route, but for a wheel route to Hollywood Brown. Now, best case scenario, the slot corner goes under the pick and it becomes a foot race for Hollywood Brown on a wheel route with somebody trailing him. He probably catches it and he might go off and score, or maybe he gets hawked down because he doesn't run as fast as he used to. Best case scenario, though, you get Hollywood Brown in a foot race. Worst case, the corner plays it well, goes over the pick, and you now have a contested catch for Hollywood Brown on a ball over his shoulder. Why is that not Tyquan Thornton? What the best case scenario, I can put the faster player in the exact same spot. So the worst case scenario, I can put the bigger player who has shown the ability to actually catch a ball in traffic in the same spot. It's really frustrating me that Hollywood Brown got that look that I assume would normally go to Rashee Rice if healthy, but it annoys me that Hollywood Brown was put in that position because that was essentially the only play to be made, a throw to be made on that particular play. There was nothing else available if you don't throw that. So it's just that really frustrated me going back to watch it and seeing it be Hollywood Brown, who I don't know where he wins on that play that a Thornton couldn't, that a Worthy couldn't, whoever else couldn't have won in that spot.
And I think, once Rashee gets back, I think he's the guy that we see lose more of his reps as this goes, which I think would have been surprising going into the season. But with you can't take Tyquan Thornton off the field. I thought he did play again before that play on the final drive. I thought he had a decent game, one of his better games overall.
Yeah, he did.
But you're right, he has his limitations right now, and you don't want to draw things up for him in those type of situations. But yeah, I mean he's a zone
beater over the middle of the field, and like you put him on that.
Yeah. And that last play, that last drive, that was going to be the Tyree play. Not that he was going to score on it, but like that was going to get them in position to get into field goal range on the next play. Like that was it. They were going to do it if he just gets his head around. Like it was going to happen. That's the other crazy thing about that. Like they were going to tie that game up. I have absolutely zero doubt. He just gets his head around. They were tying that game.
And the play before that, I mean, Mahomes is a tick late, but honestly, it looks like if Kelsey puts his hands up instead of waiting for it to get to, I think it's Worthy right behind him, for the play right before, you honestly might have picked up a chunk as well. Now, I'm not saying it's anyone's fault on that one. I think Mahomes is a little late, but that ball went like it looked like it was within reach for Kelsey, who was more open, and it just was sailing a little high, so he let it go. But anyway, yeah, Mahomes almost pulled it off there at the end, and he just had not quite.
Well, he might have pulled it off. He might have put him in a position to pull it off, but because of the special teams foibles right now, there is no guarantee. I mean, can't kick the ball in bounds right now, and every time this team tries to line up for a 50-plus yard field goal, it's a giant adventure, which is not something I really was hoping to be talking about right now. But here we are, because just the litany of mistakes and the litany of issues on every phase of the actually, you know what? It's not every phase of the football. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I'm calling all Chiefs fans. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now and enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you're signing up for that. That is an incredible opportunity for you. So go check that out. We've had listeners at KCSN win that. So make sure you are signing up and doing that. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned into what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and build to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Thanks for hanging out with us on a commiserating matter day. We're not really going full Chiefs to this today. We're just kind of gonna do some vibe checks on both sides of the ball, because we're 5 games in, and yeah, that game sucked, and I don't really want to think too much about it, but you got to think a little bit about it, but we can probably get a bigger picture conversation going on both sides of the ball at this point. And so let's get some vibe checks on the offensive side of things here. Matty Hamilton, 5 games in, Kansas City Chiefs offense. What's the vibe check for you when it comes to the offense?
I mean, as I kind of alluded to earlier, like my vibes are high when it comes to this offense overall. I think, the passing game has taken some big steps forward. I think having Xavier Worthy back in there is a huge deal. And I like what I've seen overall, especially from the passing game. The run game is a different story. I mean, it is unfathomable that we are 5 weeks into the season and their leading rusher has been a running back exactly one time. It really is unbelievable, and that's something that needs to be addressed here at some point. I'm going to keep saying, I know we've talked about it a bunch, I'm going to keep saying it until they do something here. But overall, this looks like a Patrick Mahomes. This is starting to look like a Patrick Mahomes Chiefs offense again, and it's really 2.5 games now where this has been the case. Because I think you go back to the second half of that Sunday Night Giants game, the signs were there, the ball was getting rolling a little bit. The Ravens game was phenomenal, and I thought, again, the penalty, everything else aside, the offense was rolling. Patrick Mahomes was moving the ball down the field. So overall, I'm bullish on this offense. I think it's really headed in the right direction, and I think it's only going to get better from here when Rasheed comes back.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, right? Is the offense is working, it's clicking, everything's getting a little bit better, but they're about to get, I think pretty safe to say, their best skill position player back. And I know some Chiefs fans are going to lean on like that being Xavier Worthy, and maybe in the future, but just watching Worthy, especially right now, was still dealing with the shoulder thing and the ankle a little bit. The last time we saw Rasheed Rice, what he was doing last year to start the year was definitely the best skill player that the Chiefs have seen on their roster over the past 2 years. So getting him back in another game to add on to this offense, it's already playing like a top 5 unit, is super impressive. So coming into the year, before we obviously had the Worthy injury, I thought this is around what they would be, maybe not quite as good, but close to what, with Worthy healthy, waiting for Rice to come back. And then once Rice came back, I thought we were very much squarely in the zone of getting back to the 2018 or 2022 Chiefs offense. And it's not that it's going to look the same, but that they are going to be one of, if not the best in the NFL, on the back of, hey, Patrick Mahomes has decent protection around him now. He's got enough weapons. They're pulling all the right levers. They're hitting the right buttons. They just did in this past week, right? Like in the past 2 weeks now. And I know the Ravens defense is in shambles, but this Jags defense had been pretty good. And outside of the 2 drives where they went 3 and out, which is highly unfortunate that they happened when they did, but outside that, they were moving the ball at will up and down the field. And it's not like the Jags could do anything to stop them. So I feel really good about the direction this offense is going right now. I think they have definitely figured out some stuff that works for them. And then getting Rasheed Rice back, I think in a little bit is going to be so big, because again, not only is he the best player, he's the only version of free offense that they have, right? Like you think in the past, throwing the ball to Travis Kelce on a 5-yard route option route and just letting him go make a guy miss or letting him just get open. That was free offense for them. 2nd and 15, you need to make it 3rd and manageable. Just throw it to Travis Kelce. Other teams that need free yards at 2nd and 10, 2nd and 15, you need to pick up 5-10 yards, whatever it is. Run the ball, the power run game or whatever that is. The Chiefs don't have that right now. They do when Rashee Rice comes back. So you get in one of these 2nd or 3rd, and longs where you need to pick up yards to make things more manageable. I think you can just go to Rashee Rice over and over again. And just like that weapon right there is going to make it so much easier on 3rd downs. And not that the Chiefs have been bad. It's just, I think this offense is going to finish the year as one of the 2 best offenses in the NFL. And I don't even think it's going to be very questionable.
I think when I look back at like week 1, week 2, and it was like Andy's. These were the comments on social. It was like Andy's cooked, Andy's outdated. His offense is just completely, it's archaic and it's not going to work and all this stuff. And we shouldn't be just excusing the fact that the game plan built around Xavier Worthy having a healthy shoulder just had to get thrown out the window in week 1. And those excuses have rung true. Those were legitimate excuses because I think you've seen that this team with Xavier Worthy back in the mix is entirely different. Offensively, they have found their footing. They have done, they've been able to move the ball effectively. They ran the ball better in the last couple of weeks too. Like there's some improvements happening here, both sides of the football, or both run and pass. And I think this is one of the best offenses in the league. And I think it will continue to be one of the best offenses in the league. And nothing that they did against the Jaguars should, keep. Yeah, it was that game could have been 35 points. It should have been 35 points, at least, maybe more. And they blew it. But you've got a goal line touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles as well. Yeah. Another blown goal line against the Eagles. Like, this team's offense is real. And it's going to be fun to watch the rest of the year, especially when Rashee Rice gets back. So I'm geeked out about the outlook on the offensive side of the ball. I think there's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, and if you go back even to that Giants game and you take from weeks 3 to 5, this is a top 5 offense in every measure right now over those 3 weeks. And again, I know that's a small sample size, whatever, but you're seeing the signs of growth. And I don't think it's like, as you said, the Ravens defense is not great, but I think that game was more about the Chiefs offense than it was against the Ravens defense. Again, especially because we saw it carry over into a game against a defense that has been excellent all year in the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm excited about the direction this thing's headed in. And you're right, it's not going to look the same as 2018, but that's not a bad thing necessarily. Like, I think this is, if everybody's out there healthy, I think this is the most well-rounded. This could be potentially the most well-rounded passing attack that the Chiefs has had. Obviously, I can't say well-rounded offense until the run game fully gets going, but most well-rounded passing attack because they have so many guys that can beat you. Because really, when you really look at those teams, it was Tyreek, it was Travis, and then it was guys that might not have been on a roster as other places, or if they were, they weren't playing meaningful snaps. And now you have a lot of guys like I know Tyquan Thornton got ditched by the Patriots, whatever. Like, I don't think he's one of those guys. I think he's the guy that the Patriots thought they were getting when they drafted him in the 2nd round. Like, I think he's legitimately a good football player. And obviously we know about Worthy and Rasheen. We've talked about them in Hollywood for whatever limitations he may have right now. He's still a productive football player. And we haven't even seen what Jalen Royals can do yet. So we know he can orbit motion. We have learned that. We learned that. That was a hell of an orbit, I gotta say.
I've seen fantastic. Worse. I've seen way worse orbits.
There was in a Chiefs uniform.
Who was it?
This is true.
Rookie McCole Hardman could not run an orbit motion. It was a box.
Yeah.
He got better as time went on, but it took him, like, his first stint with KC. Anytime they had him run an orbit motion, it was a rough watch. No. So some of the offensive stuff we did, and I very much, and I'll say, was very critical of Andy and Nagy and what the offense looked like to start. And it probably had a lot to do with Worthy going down. They didn't expect it, but I think you can go back and just watch the past concepts that we have seen, since the Giants game, but really in the Ravens game. Once we've gotten Xavier Worthy, And this past week, it does look like he is clearly adjusted. We have gotten a lot less just we're going to flood one side of the formation. They've run a lot more out of 2x2 instead of 3x1. And you're never going to get all of, that Andy West Coast principle stuff out. That's who he is, but he's done a better job of balancing it now that they've had Worthy healthy. And so you have to assume that was the plan coming into the year. You add in another better player who can also open things up. Like, I do think it continues to get better. I will say too, something else that we've all been clamoring for, and they didn't play a ton of it in this game. I think they only took 7 snaps from under center, but they averaged like 15 yards per play under center in this game. They were running the ball well. Everything off of play action seemed to be working. Everything was chunk plays when they were doing it. So they still have 0 under center drop back game. And maybe that's a Mahomes thing. Maybe that's an Andy thing. Or a Nagy thing. Who knows? But when they do go under center and they're doing a little bit more frequently, it's getting more effective. We're seeing better route concepts. So like for anybody, myself included, who was critical of the offensive designing and not play calling necessarily, but the design and the concepts, they have gotten a lot better. It's starting to look a lot more like what we were all asking for. They're pushing the ball downfield to their guys when they get vertical. So it does seem like it is all falling into place. Yeah. It obviously couldn't do that if they didn't hit on their left tackle pick of Josh Simmons, who played a phenomenal game this past week against the Jags, and he just kind of continues to get better. I've also noticed like his hands are getting better, but they're getting more varied. You see a lot more jump sets. I have seen him go out and 2-hand punch somebody. I have seen him hit the trap in the middle of an actual play, or you see him do throw some feints out there and stuff like that, and all the circle punches. So he's getting more comfortable in his own technique and his own positioning, that you're starting to see him do more of the different techniques that we saw him do at Ohio State. And that's just making him play better. His run blocking was really good against the Jaguars. And that was the first time all year where I'd say that he was a really good run blocker and not just okay. So he's getting better. Kingsley's played pretty well at left guard. Again, he's gotten better and better. He had another good solid game against the Jags. So I think you got to give them some credit for figuring out the offensive line, and now they're building the offense out, and I think the way they planned on, and we're 5 games in, but we're really starting to see that bear the fruit.
Well, more on Kingsley here in a little bit, I think. I think he might make some appearances on this show here in a little bit.
Oh, we got him coming on?
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you talk about like the 2018 offense, and I think that there's a little bit of 2018 and a little bit of 2022 in this offense, where there's the efficiency and the confidence that you see in being able to sustain drives, but there's a little bit more explosive element to the 2020 than the 2022 version, right? So like that 2022 was kind of like where teams were really committed to taking, playing top down and keeping things, more short. Like that was really like that was a big year for that transition. And the Chiefs just said, yeah, we're going to paper cut you to death. And they were really, really, really good at it. There's still some opportunities for them to push the ball down the field, and teams are just kind of, being more aggressive down the field. The Chiefs are doing that. Like they are pushing the ball down the field a little bit more than they have. I think I saw that through 5 games, they'd had about half as many explosive pass plays or 20-yard pass plays as they had all of in 2024. And so like you can say like, yeah, like it's coming and all that kind of stuff. And like, yeah, I think it's made big improvements. It's made big improvements. So you're seeing the efficiencies and the ball security mostly from this team, with a little bit more explosive in the passing game. So like there's a little 2018, a little 2022, and I don't even know what year the run game is. I don't know what year the run game is. All of them. Like I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
But yeah, I did see Mahomes' average depth of target, by the way, is the 3rd longest in the entire league this year, and it was bottom 5 last year. So
heck yeah,
it's obviously the eye test. We see it, but the numbers are bearing it out here too. They are, they're taking those shots at a higher rate than pretty much anybody else in the league.
And it's fun to watch, man. Like I think that's what's so disappointing is the really rough start has overshadowed how fun this has been offensively to watch, and how it's exciting. There's things to be excited about. The biggest surprises we're going to talk about in a little bit. I'm geeked about the future in some places, and I think that's a really fun place to be. We'll get more into that. Defensive vibe checks. Hamilton. What are the defensive vibe checks for the Kansas City Chiefs 5 games into this season?
I'm confused a little bit after this last week. Because obviously, I mean, they'd been playing so friggin' well after week one, and we talked about it, that the way that they've kind of morphed their game plan week to week, and Spags pushing all the right buttons, and everything was looking great. And in this game, it wasn't horrible, but still, you gave up 6 yards of play to the Jags. I think, you know, it was disappointing in a lot of ways. It was especially disappointing the way it ended and the effort level and all of that, which we talked about. But still, when I take a step back from like the emotions of it a little bit, and you really look at, okay, what were the big plays in this game for the Jaguars? Like, where did those big plays come from? There was just an insane effort from Travis Hunter to haul that pass in. That was just you chalk it up an incredible individual effort there. There was basically like an indefensible throw from Trevor Lawrence to Brian Thomas Jr. on that last drive. It's just insane how that guy can make like 3 IQ plays in a row and then just uncork the most beautiful pass I've ever seen.
And then 3 more
Um,
0 IQ plays.
Yep.
After.
And then the other big play, obviously, is him falling down and just pure chaos. So, like,
Twice.
when you really look at, yeah. So it's like when you really look at like the bad moments for this defense, it was stuff that like is really, and I'm not trying to let them off the hook. I'm just looking at it from a logical perspective. It's like a couple plays where they got you. Like, you're in the NFL, it's going to happen sometimes. I don't think they were just horrific plays. And then that last play, that was just the flukiest play I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm not letting this Jaguars game derail what we had seen over the previous 3 weeks. I still think overall this defense has taken a lot of really positive steps. I think it might be time we see a little more of Noel Williams. But overall, I think I'm good with where this defense is. You do have the sour taste in your mouth about the way that Monday night game ended, but when you look at the body of work over these past 4 weeks as a whole, it's hard not to feel good about what's there on this defense. And they've been generating pressure with Ford pretty consistently again. It doesn't always feel like it. They're not always getting home. But they're doing a better job of that this year. I think, again, I think it's moving in the right direction.
I think it's good we start with the offense before going to the defense. My vibe check on the defense is similar to my vibe check on what happened in the Chiefs-Jags game. As in, I don't know what to think or how we got here. You look at a lot of underlying metrics, and it's come out with the Chiefs defense being okay. Like, they get apparently a ton of pressure. Okay, first of all, we got to erase pressures are as good as sacks or more than sacks, because if the Chiefs are leading the NFL in pressures, those are some worthless pressures the majority of the time. Those are some of the least impactful pressures I have ever seen. You raised your hand.
Pressures. Well,
I'm calling on you in class.
I think pressures are. I think pressures are now. Yeah, they're way too overvalued. And I think there's some invitation upfield at times with some of these players too, where maybe the quality of the pressure is because they're letting the player wash themselves entirely out of the play and run themselves entirely out of the play, and we're counting it as a pressure. It's just frustrating because like teams, I think, slingshot them out the back of the pocket and whatever. But anyways, please continue.
Yeah, so I just with the defense, they can't get useful pressure. They get pressure that doesn't matter somehow. They're getting a lot of pressure that doesn't matter. They're not getting very useful pressure. And the worst part is, even when Spags is blitzing, like we've seen some of these game plans against the Eagles or the Ravens here and there, like when they blitzed, it can be effective, but it's not as effective as it has been again in years past. Like, teams are doing a little bit better job picking up on what the Chiefs blitz the pressure packages look like, where it's coming from, and you haven't really gotten any teams feel completely overwhelmed. Trevor Lawrence was overwhelmed trying to figure out where it was coming from, but he was never actually overwhelmed by the pressure when it was happening, right? Mm-hmm. And so the blitzing isn't working quite as well. They're not really getting a lot of pressure. Shamari Connor is one of the worst cover players when he's in the slot, or even as a safety when he gets aligned to man on somebody. He is one of the worst cover guys in the league. Like, this is what the numbers tell you. And so it is a little frustrating, but at the same time, they're one of the best man-to-man teams. If you look at EPA per play, yards per pass attempt, or whatever it is, they're one of the best man coverage teams in the NFL. The pressure numbers, like I said, are popping up. They have now had the Eagles game plan, the Ravens game plan, and I mean the Giants, we can wash out to their bad, but they've had 2 game plans, 2 offenses that were supposed to be pretty good that they really stifled by doing some crazy kind of off the wallish stuff. So I just don't know what to think. But yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, they can't get pressure. And I think that's the most infuriating part. And even the blitzing right now isn't resulting in pressure. And then when you do have to blitz to get pressure, you leave Chamari Connor on an island too frequently. Jalen Watson's a good player, but we have seen that, really good wide receivers can get him. And while I do want more Noah Williams out there, I also saw him chase Trent McDuffie's guy on a mesh concept instead of his own guy for about 2 straight seconds. And then realize he was covering the wrong guy. And so I think that's probably why he's not out there in some of these situations.
Yeah.
There's a chance Noah Williams. Go.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say, and even like with all that stuff, if you look at since week 2, this is a top 6 defense and a lot of metrics, top 6 scoring defense, yards, everything. It's, there are definitely issues, and you want to see something happen with this pass rush that is impactful here at some point. But this is still a good defense. I think this Jaguars game, as I said, it's confusing. It's confusing, but yeah, I'm not doom and gloom on this defense either. I can't be when you look at the overall body of work over these last 4 weeks.
I don't know if I'm doom and gloom, but I'm not sure I'm ready to believe. And I think that's where I'm not sure I'm convinced that they're a top 10 defense right now. And I just don't see enough consistency with the pass rush. And that's what gives me the most pause right now is I think Spags is incredible. And I think there's a lot of good things. I mean, they did some really good stuff against the Eagles and Ravens, both 2 teams that really want to base out of their run offense and then kind of go from there. And the game script got away from the Ravens, so it didn't really matter. And then the Eagles game, they really got after Jalen and did some good things there. And then the Giants don't matter. But I think this Jags team, Trevor had the ability to push the ball a little bit down the field, beat them a little bit down the field, even though he hadn't really done that all season. He actually Trevor broke a lot of tendencies in this game.
Yeah.
He ran the ball a lot more. Rush lane discipline was a thing, but also hey, at the same time, Trevor ran double amount of normally he does on average instead of career high. And Trevor ran a lot more than he normally does. And Trevor pushed the ball down the field and gave some guys some chances a little bit more down the field than he normally does too. He broke some tendency in this game, but Trevor quick release, arm talent, push the ball down the field. Those were things that some of these other teams really aren't particularly good at. And I don't even think the Jaguars necessarily were, but Trevor has the ability to try some of those things, and it worked for them. And so
and that's the thing that's maddening from a Jaguars perspective. That's been maddening with him from a Jaguars perspective is he should be doing those things more. He has this absolute cannon of an arm. You see the type of throws he can make. He is a ridiculous athlete. I know the injury stuff that's happened with him has probably prevented him from using his legs more, but I mean, that's when he has things working, that's really where he shines. But you do bring up a good point because the other quarterback they faced that has a similar profile in that way is Justin Herbert, which was the only other rough game that they've had this year. So, maybe that is something to be concerned about. But you're right, and it's not thought Spags off the hook, but it is. This was a departure from what how the Jags had really been utilizing him up to this point this season.
How he utilized himself.
And how he utilized himself. Yeah.
It's a little bit of that too. It's both sides of it. It's the reason the rush lanes were there a little bit are probably because I don't think they were planning for that to happen. You're not really much rushing Trevor. You're getting after him and letting him run into people and run into sacks, which he did at times too. Charles Mendy's first sack is because Trevor has no idea. You just, running head into wall. But
I agree that Trevor Lawrence broke some tendencies, but after a quarter and a half of him breaking tendencies, you think you would fix it a little bit.
Yeah.
And they did. I think
Yeah.
that was more of where the issue fell for me, is they never adjusted to the fact that this very athletic quarterback is running all over you. I get it,
Yeah.
not coming into this game, preparing to contain Trevor Lawrence's legs. After halftime, how y'all not like, hey, Jerry Tillery, maybe we don't, go from nose tackle to outside a B gap when Chris Jones is obviously going to go outside the other B gap. Oh, and by the way, we're also blitzing Nick Bolton through the B gap. Maybe if you're lined up at nose tackle, you don't go over there. Just a thought. Now, just a thought. The defense is a weird spot. I will say, I think you guys kind of got to it there, is like, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert, they have the ability to really stretch the ball down the field. So you do have to defend, a full, all three levels, but they're also both capable of executing quick game. Right. And especially now with Liam Cohen, and it's a lot of screens and a lot of little stuff, but those two quarterbacks in particular, of all the ones they have faced, have been very good at, they can hit you with the quick game all the way down the field. But if you start sagging off, or if you give them a good matchup, they can go deep. And those have been the two games the Chiefs have struggled the most. So when it seems like they're not able to kind of split find the single thing that the opposing offensive passing attack really wants to do. And I don't mean this to say Lamar Jackson can't do quick game or anything like that. That's just not his preferred style of play. He really doesn't want to operate in the quick game. He wants to push the ball a lot more. And so, I don't know.
The structure of that offense isn't really built to do that either. And that's what they base out of what they want to accomplish. They're not they're not really looking to do it the way that the way Herbert was able to, and the way the Jags have shown the ability to. And Russell can't do it, and Jalen doesn't really do it, and Lamar doesn't really do it. Like, they all aren't great quick game, quick release, ball out guys. That none of them are. And it's like that's where I'm a little nervous, is because you see these three style of plays that weren't able to really expose it, and then you see the Chargers doing it and the Jaguars doing it. That's where it's
and and they're about to face a team in the Lions that, Goff doesn't have the athleticism of the other two, but he will pick you apart.
Yep. That's going to be an interesting one. Commanders Bills back to back will be interesting, because I think both of those guys can kind of get the ball out and beat coverage, and going to be an interesting stretch for sure. So there's your vibe checks, both sides of the football. There's all kinds of specific players, I think, that have been surprising for the Chiefs this season. We're going to talk about some of those right after this.
Chiefs Kingdom, I have got a question for you. What is your favorite touchdown? Well, for me, I can confidently say that my favorite touchdown, it's the next one, because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From the first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. From spreads to money lines, same-game parlays, regular parlays, you want it, DraftKings has got it. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I use DraftKings Sportsbook, and you should too. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Thanks for hanging out on a Matter Day. We appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, even though the Chiefs are, disappointing a little bit to start this season. But not everyone's been disappointing. There's good, interesting things about this football team still, even though there's still bright spots. There's still things that are worth getting geeked out about.
You think this is all positive? Interesting.
I'm not saying I didn't say they all were, but
Okay.
Normally we start with positives.
Okay.
Do we not? Do you want to start with negatives?
I might not even have a negative. You don't know. Just keeping you on your toes.
You got a negative. There's,
No, I don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you don't, you're not saying it now.
You don't know me. So anyway, my biggest surprise of the season is the fact that Shamari Connor is still getting the majority of the slot reps for this team, despite the fact that he is the worst man cover player on this team. And I just don't get it. He's been pretty good as a traditional safety. Not great, but pretty good. He actually does a good job coming downhill, making plays. He can keep the cap on top of stuff over the top. He has decent ball skills when playing like that. He's been a fine safety. Why the insistence on putting him down in the slot when he is really bad at it and he limits you almost entirely to playing zone? And even then, when it's any form of match coverage, he's getting matched up with somebody and it's a struggle. Coming out of a timeout with the game practically on the line, they come out and they put him out there in the slot, knowing full well it's either going to be Brian Thomas Jr. or Travis Hunter that he's matched up with. How? Why? What is the process that goes into putting Shamari Connor in that spot? I'm not even mad that he commits defensive pass interference in the end zone because he should have never been there. So that is my biggest surprise, is that no matter what they say, I just could not believe they would go another year with Shamari Connor being statistically one of the absolute worst covers, like slot corners in the league, and they would do it again. I get it. Trent McDuffie doesn't necessarily love playing in the slot. He's really good at it. Maybe doesn't love it. That's fine. You should have figured it out at some point in time to have somebody else be an option. Literally, you had all off season to try to add somebody, and they just rolled back out there with Shamari Connor. That is my biggest surprise, is they just keep doing it despite it providing zero benefit to have him be the slot defender at this point in time. See, negative.
And and whether Trent likes it or not, I definitely got that vibe from him when we interviewed him on Up and Adams at Chiefs camp too. We kind of asked him about it, and he, he didn't really try to hide it too much that it's not his favorite, and that he likes being on the outside. But whether he likes it or not, you got to do what's best for the team right now. And I'm sure he won't be complaining when you hand him, whatever, $30 million a year or whatever it ends up being that he gets. But you'd have to think, if we get to a place, again, Noel Williams, there's things he's got to clean up. But if you have him and Watson on the outsides and McDuffie in the slot, you can't tell me that's not better than having Shamari Connor out there in the field in that spot.
So I think you will see Shamari Connor not in the slot down the home stretch / in the playoffs. I think they'll play him a little bit less. Not entirely, but like I think the splits will change. I think you'll see more Trent in the slot. I think Spags loves to trust the 11 on the field, and maybe he doesn't have the full trust in Noel quite yet. That could be a factor. And then Christian Fulton in the mix too, potentially. The idea of Christian Fulton has, been around more than Christian Fulton himself to this point. But there's cornerback depth that could build trust over the course of the season. And then by the time that it gets to, the most important time of the year, maybe you see some flips switch, some things change, some desire to tackle from the slot changes a little bit because you're chasing the Super Bowl. Hamilton, give us a big surprise for the Chiefs so far.
I'm on the fence of whether I want to go positive or negative here too.
I could go positive then.
Oh, let's go.
Okay, I'm going to go
positive.
negative. Harrison Butker has been a complete and total mess so far this year, and I know it's kickers and they're hard to predict and weird things happen with them, but it's been bad. And it's not just the missed extra points, the missed field goals, but as we all saw, that kickoff, that can't happen in that situation. That is a tremendous error in a big spot. And that trust factor, that used to be like the one thing as this team has navigated a lot of stuff over the last couple of years that you didn't have to worry about. And now it's a legitimate concern. I don't have that trust in him that I'd had previously. And not having to trust your kicker, not being able to trust your kicker, having that in the back of your head, it changed a lot. I think as you operate and as you make some of these in-game decisions, and if he doesn't get it going, like this is going to be a concern for this team. This is the one area, the biggest area, I think that I am a little genuinely worried for this team if he doesn't get it together. And again, it could just be a little bit of a rough patch, and he'll be right back to the kicker that we know. Again, kickers are weird. We know this, but right now it's a legitimate concern for me.
I mean, he's had knee injuries.
Kickers are goofy.
Yeah.
He's had
That's what I was gonna say.
injuries.
No, that's what I was
before
gonna say. Is like they're very finicky about their like their mentality, and like once one thing gets thrown off a little bit, kickers a lot of times can spiral. And I'm not saying he's spiraling, but he did have the knee injury and have to get that fixed. And since he's come back from that, it's just been off. And I'm not a kicker mechanics guy. Don't know, don't care. But he's missing since then, and it might just be in his head.
Yeah,
right.
He's talked about
It
modifying
might
his
just entirely
mechanics
be in his head.
this season. He talked about modifying his
So he's just
mechanics,
missing.
like collapsed knee and all this stuff. Like that.
Yeah.
This isn't like there
Go back to
was
collapse the knee, buddy.
modifications.
Go collapse that knee. We can get
I
the
don't-
lead pipe out. We can.
I don't even know what that. I don't even know what it is. I'm going to tell you guys. I definitely thought. I definitely thought the surprises was going to be a lot more positive than it was.
I
I'm
was
really-
positive. In
I
the
have a
last
positive
two.
one, too.
I needed to get
I
a little negative.
honestly
Let me
wasn't
get my
gonna do a
positive
negative
one
No, I was just gonna say I wasn't even gonna do a negative one until you tried to act like they were all gonna be positive.
I just figured we'd be a little bit more front facing with the positive and then squeeze a little bit of like, this also sucks. But
Again,
you guys are.
I wasn't gonna be negative
Again,
until you tried to play it off like that wasn't an option.
I was
I'm
being the
s-
positive guy the last two little segments over on that rundown. So
Yeah. Get him, Hamilton.
Let me.
want to avoid
Tell
some
him.
concerns.
So anyway, my
I-
positive surprise has been
Let me
Tyquan
go,
Thornton's
Maddie.
performance for the Kansas
Yeah.
City Chiefs. Okay, your turn.
Yeah,
No,
leading
I
the
was
league
gonna-
in yards per catch right now. By the way,
he's on pace for 924 yards this season. I mean, he's
Was that
balling
what you were
out.
gonna go with?
No, you can finish on Taekwon, Maddie. It's
Oh,
fine.
no, I didn't really have anything else to say.
No,
I was gonna
he
squeeze
just
in.
had
I
numbers
think it's
ready
pretty
to go for no
self-explanatory.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Taekwon Thornton's pretty self-explanatory, right? Like he's been really good for the Chiefs. He's making a lot of plays. It's mildly frustrating that he has lost more reps than I think Hollywood Brown has since Worthy's come back. I'm a little worried that he's going to continue to see a dip when Rashee Rice comes back and not Hollywood Brown. Not that Hollywood Brown's not, helpful, but I think Taekwon Thornton adds a lot more to the field. So I just hope he continues to see a significant snap count and some targets because, he's been a good red zone weapon, obviously a good field stretcher.
I will just tell you, and I will not elaborate on this, but I have a good feeling that Taekwon is gonna keep seeing some reps, and that connection with Mahomes will continue to blossom. So I am confident there. I feel good that he's gonna continue to get his opportunities even when those guys come back.
Anything to plug, Hamilton? No, I'm just kidding. I think what you've seen from Taekwon Thornton, like you talk about the Mahomes factor, that's the most important piece of all this. It takes a lot to develop the trust of Mahomes. And I think the last couple of weeks, you've seen moments, high leverage moments, big plays, big opportunities where they're just giving Taekwon Thornton a chance to go and make a play. And that should not be taken for granted how valuable that is. So I think he trusts Hollywood. There's a lot of rapport with Hollywood, and there's maybe some situations that even Mahomes might prefer Hollywood to this point. But man, I think Taekwon Thornton's coming on strong, and he should be. Yeah, like he deserves it. I keep calling it's the big three, guys. It's Rice, Worthy, and Thornton. It's the big three. I mean, he's playing incredible, and he deserves more opportunities and had another big game this week. So credit to him. That wasn't going to be mine, Matthew, actually. So I was going to talk about what I teased about earlier. The left side of the Chiefs offensive line playing two young players is just not even like it's been like they've played great. You've got to be completely over the moon with what's happened at the left tackle, left guard situation. And not to say like, oh, the Kingsley Suamataia is some all-pro player or something like that. But the way we talked about him all summer was like, oh, wait, Jalen Carter will destroy Kingsley Suamataia. Did not happen. Did not happen. He has done a tremendous job being a quality starting left guard. And they're going to have him for 2 more seasons after this. They've got him under club control for 2 more years. They've got most of their offensive line. Their offensive line settled for 2026 because Jalen Moore will slip over to right tackle most likely. And they're well positioned for multiple seasons now on their offensive line. So I think that's been a pleasant surprise, is just how much of a non-story that left side's been, despite it being 2 young players.
And I will say this, you say, I don't know who you two were both ahead of that even before free agency, I think, even on the show. Like, you had talked about, hey, switching, and we didn't know that he was going to move inside. We didn't really fully know how that all was going to shake out yet, because we hadn't seen the Chiefs really make their offseason moves. And you guys were both ahead of that. Like, hey, like, if this does end up happening, let's give this guy a chance, because obviously playing guard is a lot different from playing tackle. And we've seen plenty of other guys that have struggled to tackle that have moved into guard and been good. And I remember you guys both bringing that up. So, there were a lot of people that were saying those things, but I will say it was not the two of you guys.
Yeah, Kingsley was obviously, I think, one of the first guys that came to mind with the surprise thing from a positive standpoint. And it's not that he's like been good, or not that he hasn't, or that he's playing well. It's just that he's getting better at not having the big unacceptable bad plays, right? Like, he's not getting completely blown off the ball. He's still got some bad losses out there, don't get me wrong, but they're getting fewer and farther between. And he's not wrecking the play. The big thing at tackle was when he lost so badly the play was over. And at no point so far at guard has he ever shown that. I do think it was a very rough start, and I think he's getting better and better. I'll be interested to see how it continues to go as there gets to be more film on him, but he's doing a better job, and the losses are getting a little bit slower. They're a little bit grindier, and you can absolutely live with that as a guard. It's like, I think he's been very good. The run game stuff, sometimes it looks great. Other times, I think you see the same issues that you see in pass pro show up, where he kind of gets off balance and stuff. So some of the losses in the run game that I've seen have been a little play altering, but that's fine. I think at this point in time, you have a young guard who's getting better and better, playing next to an all-pro center and next to an offensive tackle who's practically in the Hall of Fame already, and Joshua Simmons. And so I feel pretty good about him over there.
Yeah.
Hamilton, any big surprises? Any other surprises before we get out of here?
I mean, those were the 2 positives that stood out to me. I gave you my negative. I think I'm all out of surprises today.
Well, I am too. That's gonna do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.